There are moments in the long and complicated history of the British royal family when a single decision changes everything. Not slowly, not quietly, but all at once, like a door swinging open in a palace that was supposed to stay shut. This is one of those moments. King Charles III, still fighting a cancer that has never fully left his body, still appearing at state banquets looking smaller and more tired than the man who once waited decades for his crown, has made a move that almost no one saw coming. He has quietly, deliberately, and without any public fanfare, begun shifting the weight of the monarchy away from Queen Camilla and toward Princess Catherine. And the world is only now beginning to understand what that actually means. To understand why this story matters, you have to go back to the beginning. You have to go back to a time when Camilla Parker Bowles was the woman that much of Britain despised, the woman they blamed for the destruction of one of the most beloved marriages in modern history. She was the shadow in the background of a fairy tale that ended in heartbreak. When Princess Diana died in that Paris tunnel in 1997, the grief that swept across the world carried with it a fury that Camilla could not escape. People placed flowers outside Buckingham Palace and wept in the streets, and somewhere in all of that sorrow was the unspoken accusation that Camilla had taken something precious and irreplaceable from the people of Britain. For years, she lived in that shadow. She married Charles in 2005 in a quiet civil ceremony, and even then the palace announced she would not take the title of Princess of Wales out of respect for Diana's memory. She would be the Duchess of Cornwall. She would be supportive. She would stay in the background. For years, people debated whether she should even receive the title of Queen at all. After all, to many Brits, she was the other woman, the one Charles had an affair with while still married to Princess Diana. The idea of her sitting beside Charles as the Queen didn't sit well with them, but something shifted over time. Over the years, Camilla slowly won over the public. Her dedication to charity work and her unwavering support of Charles helped shift perceptions. And in the end, it was Queen Elizabeth herself who settled the debate. In 2022, just months before her passing, the late Queen publicly stated it was her sincere wish that Camilla would take on the title of Queen Consort when Charles became king. That was the moment the conversation changed. The woman who had been the villain in Britain's most famous love story was being handed one of the most significant titles in the world, blessed by the very monarch who had once been most protective of her daughter-in-law's legacy. Reader's Digest. When Charles was coronated at Westminster Abbey in May 2023, Camilla stood beside him and was crowned Queen Consort. The word consort was later quietly dropped from her title on the coronation invitation, and she became simply Queen Camilla. From a constitutional standpoint, nothing really changed. Camilla doesn't have ruling power, and her role remains purely ceremonial. But dropping consort from her title broke with tradition and reinforced the idea that a king's wife is always queen, no matter what the history books say. More than anything, it showed that the monarchy is capable of evolving, proving once again that public opinion and royal tradition are in a never-ending dance. Camilla had arrived, or so it seemed. Reader's Digest. Because here is what the palace walls were quietly whispering even as the cameras captured her in her crown and robes. The title of Queen Camilla was never going to be permanent. It was never designed to last forever. It was, by the very nature of royal succession law, a title with an expiration date. If Camilla outlives the king, she'll see his heir, Prince William, step up to the plate in a process that will be immediate and automatic upon Charles' death. William's ascension to the throne will happen simultaneously with his wife, Kate Middleton, the Princess of Wales, becoming his queen consort. This move won't strip Camilla of her former royal prowess entirely, however. She will inherit a brand new title, Queen Dowager. A Queen Dowager, the widow of a former king, a title that carries dignity but also carries distance, a step back from the center of power. Tyler, under long-standing royal and constitutional precedent, the wife of a reigning monarch is styled as Queen Consort, a title that denotes her status as spouse to the sovereign, but confers no ruling power. Upon the death of a monarch, their consort does not retain the title of queen in the sense of wife of a king, but typically transitions to a title that reflects their changed role. The traditional and most likely title for Camilla, upon the accession of King William V, would be Queen Dowager. Historically, the comparison that comes most readily to mind is Queen Elizabeth the Queen Mother, who held that special title after the death of King George VI in 1952. But there is a crucial difference. Camilla is not the mother of the future king, and as such, the title Queen Mother would not apply in her case. She would be a queen dowager, nothing more and nothing less. Royal Central, Royal Central. But the shift that is happening right now, in the middle of 2026, is not waiting for Charles to die. It is not a future story. It is a present one. And the decisions that Charles has been making over the last several months are already drawing the map of what comes next, in ways that are visible and impossible to ignore for anyone paying close attention. The most significant of these decisions is one that sounds almost bureaucratic on the surface, but carries enormous symbolic and practical weight beneath it. William and Kate will start granting royal warrants of appointment from spring 2026, when grants will be made to selected royal warrant holders. This might sound like a minor administrative detail to people outside the world of royal protocol, but insiders know exactly what it means. Traditionally, only the monarch can grant royal warrants. But now William and Kate will also become grantors of royal warrants, meaning they can officially endorse companies that supply them goods and services. The last time a Princess of Wales held this kind of authority was over a century ago. The last time a Princess of Wales did this was Queen Mary, later the Queen Mother, who handed out warrants between 1901 and 1910. LAD Bible +2. As one royal insider put it, this is a very significant step. It gives William and Kate real monarchical power earlier than usual and signals that they are being fast-tracked for the top job. That phrase, fast-tracked for the top job, is not the language of a gradual transition. It is the language of a king who is aware of his own limitations and is actively building the infrastructure for what comes after him. And the person being elevated most visibly in that infrastructure is not Camilla, it is Kate. New idea. King Charles III is quietly elevating Prince William and Princess Kate to key royal roles, ensuring the monarchy's future as he transitions from demanding duties amid health considerations. Royal insiders claim the monarch, who still undergoes cancer treatment, has full confidence in William and Catherine's ability to lead the monarchy's key affairs and is expected to announce expanded roles for them soon. The picture this paints is one of a king who loves his wife and respects what she has built, but who also understands the mathematics of succession with cold clarity. The crown must be protected. The institution must survive. And the person best positioned to carry it forward in the eyes of the public and in the judgment of Charles himself is Catherine, Princess of Wales. News. Kate's own journey over the last 2 years has been nothing short of remarkable. In January 2024, she underwent major abdominal surgery. In March of that year, she revealed publicly that she had been diagnosed with cancer and had begun a course of chemotherapy. In January 2025, the Princess of Wales shared that she had completed chemotherapy and was in remission. Slowly, she returned to work and ended the year on a good note, carrying out about 68 royal engagements, compared to her 11 in 2024. The numbers alone tell a story of someone fighting their way back, not just to health but to purpose. And the palace has been watching, the Royal Observer. Royal author and journalist Robert Jobson told Hello magazine, "This year I expect Catherine to carry out more engagements but be selective. Her diary is already filling up, I am told. But she won't go back to the old pace. She's learnt that lesson. The lesson Kate has learned is one that the monarchy itself seems to be absorbing alongside her. There is no longer any pretense that the future of the British crown rests with the generation currently at its head. Every decision Charles makes, every duty he delegates, every warrant he signs that shares power with William and Kate is a sentence in a letter he is writing to the future." Marie Claire. At the first state banquet of 2026, held on March 18 at St. George's Hall in Windsor Castle in honor of Nigeria's president, there was no question who commanded the room, and it was not the king. Prince William and Princess Kate arrived looking every inch the future monarch and queen consort. The contrast with King Charles was stark and impossible to ignore. An insider reported that Charles really struggled that night, looking small, frail, and at one point almost slumping into his chair, appearing utterly exhausted. That image Charles diminished, William and Kate radiant, was not staged. It was not planned. It was simply the truth of the moment, visible to everyone in the room and through the whisper network of palace sources to the world outside. Jubileecast. Beyond the optics, there is a structural shift quietly taking place that royal insiders say is far more significant than any banquet photo. William has also been conducting investiture ceremonies, high-level receptions, and meetings on behalf of the king, duties that have historically fallen to the monarch alone. Multiple sources suggest that internal discussions about succession timing are no longer hypothetical. The word that keeps appearing in conversations among royal watchers is the word abdication. It is a word that sits uncomfortably in the British constitutional tradition. The abdication of Edward VIII in 1936 left a wound in the royal family that took decades to heal. It was not a happy precedent. However, sources clarify that the king has no plans to abdicate during his lifetime. He believes stepping aside now could create challenges for the Prince of Wales and shift the roles of other senior royals. The workaholic monarch remains committed to reigning. Jubileecast Geo News. But commitment to reigning and capacity to reign are two different things. And the measures Charles has put in place, the shared warrants, the delegated ceremonies, the elevation of William and Kate, are all signs of a man trying to balance both realities at once. He is committed to his duty. He is also painfully aware that his body is setting limits that his will cannot override. Prince William has taken on an increasingly prominent role over the past year, representing the royal family at major engagements in the United Kingdom and abroad. The Prince of Wales has balanced official responsibilities while supporting both Catherine and King Charles through their respective recoveries. What this means for Camilla is a question that the palace has not yet answered directly, but the answer is already visible in the architecture of what is being built. Camilla's role, which was always ceremonial, is quietly becoming secondary, not through any act of cruelty, not through humiliation or public dismissal, but through the simple and inexorable logic of royal succession. And stars. When it comes to Camilla's current responsibilities, it will be William's prerogative as to whether she'll keep them up after the king's death. It may well be that William sees it fitting for Kate to fill her stepmother-in-law's shoes in her professional capacity. The charitable patronages Camilla has built, the causes she has championed, the public role she has carved out for herself over more than 2 decades in the public eye, all of it will eventually transfer, by default or by decision, to the woman who will be queen. And that woman is Catherine. Tyler, alongside William, Catherine, Princess of Wales, would take on the role of queen consort. This is where things change for Camilla. She would no longer be known as queen consort, as that title exists only as long as her husband is the reigning monarch. She would become a queen dowager, a traditional title given to the widow of a king. And while Camilla wouldn't exactly be sent into exile, she would still be a valued member of the royal family. Prince William and Kate Middleton would take on the titles of king and queen. The crown, the attention, and the power of the institution would rest on different shoulders. Newsner. There is something deeply human about all of this, beneath the protocol and the constitutional language and the formal titles. A man in his late 70s fighting cancer, watching his wife grow into a role that will not outlast him, watching his son and daughter-in-law grow into roles that will outlast everything. This is not just a political story. It is a family story. It is about legacy and love and the knowledge that the things you build are bigger than you are. For millions watching around the world, this is a moment that goes beyond succession law or palace politics. It is the image of a father who has given everything to his duty, a son who is quietly and faithfully stepping into the weight of it, and a family doing what families do in their hardest seasons, holding together and holding on. Jubileecast. The crown of the British monarchy has never belonged to one person for long. It passes. It always passes. And what King Charles has done in these months of illness and delegation and quiet structural change is to begin the passing with his own hands, on his own terms, with intention rather than crisis. He has pointed the weight of the institution toward William. He has pointed the light of public expectation toward Catherine. And Camilla, the woman who spent a lifetime becoming queen, now watches that light move slowly but unmistakably to illuminate someone else. That is the shocking decision, not a single dramatic announcement, not a press conference or an abdication speech, but something quieter and more permanent, a king choosing, with whatever strength he has left, to prepare the future before the future arrives. And in doing so, he has made clear what the next chapter of the British monarchy looks like. It looks like William. It looks like Kate. And for Camilla, the crown that once seemed impossible, then inevitable, then hers, is already quietly being handed on.